is for horses.
So languages change. This happens all the time, every day. When languages change, and there's two versions of a language that are different enough, they go beyond being just separate accents and start to become considered separate dialects. So a good example of a geographic difference between different dialects is, say, the word that we use for a carbonated soft drink. You have pop in the north, soda in the west, and in the east. I grew up in Texas. That's part of the Coke region. So when somebody was like, oh, what are you gonna bring to the party? You'd be like, Cokes. Oh, what kind of Cokes? Sprites, Dr. Peppers, Coca-Cola. When I go to California and I call Sprite Coke, my friends laugh at me. Another example of dialectical word choice is the word for the second person plural. So when I'm talking to one person, I'll say you. But if I'm talking to a group of people, I'll say you guys, you all, y'all. None of those are inherently incorrect. English used to have two separate words that distinguished those things, the plural and the singular. We had thou for one person and you for multiple people. When we lost thou, we started to supplant our language with extra versions of what you used to mean. It's just different places trying to find different words to fill in a gap that we at that point had in our language. Then there are also differences not just in word choice but pronunciation. So you have the open O in Chicago English where people say water or I'm taking a walk. And that's different from the way I say water or walk. I don't think the way I say it is wrong. They think the way they say it isn't wrong either. So who's really to judge what's correct or uneducated? And a great example of that is the way we treat African American vernacular English. You have people who think that one who says axe is uneducated or just doesn't know how to say ask. But the truth is, English used to have two versions of ask. There was axe and there was ask. Axe was used by Geoffrey Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. Axe was also used in the first version of the Bible that was translated into English. And in that way, axe is 110,000% justified. And it doesn't mean that somebody's uneducated. It doesn't mean they don't know how to say ask or pronounce that string of sounds. It just means that's how they say it there. Who's to say that we're to say that they're the ones who should be wrong? There's also generational change. So people that I knew as teachers usually said what or white. And I thought that sounded weird because I just said what or white or whip, you know? Among my groups of friends, I don't know anybody who thinks you should say wine and whine differently. To me, they're pronounced the same. To everybody I know, they're pronounced the same. That's just how languages change. Just know that in a few hundred years, they may be speaking a different language from you, and that doesn't make them dumb, or backwards, or hillbillies, or uneducated, or rednecks, or whatever. This week's word of the week is hella. Hella originally came from the word hellava, which in turn came from the group of words hell of a, and it was just to say that whatever you were about to mention was, I don't know, hardcore. We had a hell of a time getting that lion into its cage. Something like that. Over time, it gets shortened into its own, like word hellava, which is spelled sometimes Helluvuh. And in turn, over time, with more and more generations, that form of the word gets lost and it gets shortened once more to hella. Hella, where I come from, just means very. So you could say that was hella cool, whatever, I don't know, it's an example. Anyway, I moved to California and I heard somebody say, man, there were hella people at that show. And I was like, hella people? Like they were like super people? Like they were just like people? And they meant no, like there was a lot of them. And I was like, oh, I've never heard it used that way. So hella can mean anything. It is basically a general intensifier. So you can say it for adjectives. That is a hella cool shirt you have. The point is, two different places use the same word in totally different ways, and the reason that they use them differently is because over time in each place, those two terms just developed differently. Hence, I picked that as today's word of the week. I'm gonna do this ham thing again because that went weird, yes.